This is Noise from the Cranium. My name is Doug, and in this episode I'm going to interview Vancouver folk rock singer Tom Northcott.
Hello world, I'm Tom Northcott. Or at least I used to be, not sure who I am now.
Northcott scaled the heights of the 1960s music scene, rubbing shoulders with a number of musical icons of the time. He put a band together, started his own record label, built a recording studio, had a number of hit records, and then walked away from the business. I'm going to take a look at Tom's fascinating career. I actually wasn't able to be at the interview in person, but I got my good friend Rob Frith from Neptune Records to ask Tom some questions on my behalf.
Okay, so my friend Doug has a podcast on YouTube, and he's doing stuff on some Vancouver bands. He asked me to ask a few questions, if that's okay.
Hi Doug.
Hey Tom. Tom Northcott was born in Vancouver in 1943 and recalls his first foray into music.
I think it was in grade 5. There was this citywide singing contest. And I said, I can sing, because I love to sing. I was in the Ryerson Church Choir, and so I signed up, and I got honorable mention but I sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and the critic, whoever the person is who's listening, said, "Well, beautiful voice, but what a big song for such a small boy."
In the early 1960s, Northcott started singing at coffee houses like the Inquisition and the Bunkhouse. After gigging around town for a while, he got an opportunity to perform on the Vancouver version of the CBC television show Let's Go. Tom recalls how that came about.
Howie Bateman knew the Enns Sudor, the CBC producer. Somehow Enns Sudor had formed the opinion that I was a smartass. And Howie said, "Look, I want you to get on this Let's Go show, and I'm going to get Enns Sudor to come down to the Inquisition, but he thinks you're a smartass, and that's why he hasn't hired you. And you got to be just straight up on the stage, okay?" And I said, "Okay." So, I mean, I have been a smartass, but I wasn't actually a smartass.
You're smart.
I was an entertainer. I was trying to please people. I was trying to be funny. I was trying to be special. That was me at the time. So, but I had no problem tuning it down and toning it out, and it was a relief. And I never went back to this so-called smartass stuff.
So
and Sudor hired me.
I asked if being on Let's Go helped his career.
And did that help your career?
Very much.
Yeah, I
Very
would think
much.
so, because you kind of became really well known.
Across Canada.
Yeah.
He was on Let's Go for 2.5 years, beginning in 1964.
Hi, I'm Tom Northcott, and this is Let's Go from Vancouver, with the tunes that top the charts today and tomorrow.
This led to his first cross-Canada tour in 1965, singing with the 7-piece band the Vancouver Playboys.
Garnet Hunt, the bass player in the Playboys, worked at the Vancouver Hotel, and the catering manager, whose name I forget right now, and he were roommates. And the catering manager, anyway, saw our band, loved our band, and said we could organize a cross-Canada tour. So that was his, that's where it came from.
Did you play many dates? Like, how far did you go back east? Or?
Oh, yeah. And it was a real experience, I'll tell you.
Bet. That would have been the first big one for you, right?
Yes.
The band toured the country in VW vans painted with the band's logo, while Tom traveled in style in a brand new white Mustang. The entourage helped to attract attention in small towns. Tom recalls that they had to use various techniques to get an audience for their shows.
We would get to a town in Alberta, Medicine Hat or something, and there'd been some mistake. There'd been no promo, no posters, no announcements. So we rented, and again, this was the manager's idea, which was perfect. we rented a flatbed truck with a generator, and we went and played the A&Ws, and we just went around town playing wherever there was people and inviting them to the hall. And we still didn't get much of a crowd, but it was an experience.
Tom Northcott and the Vancouver Playboys recorded a song Tom wrote called She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not.
Come on, let me tell you about a wonderful game. Played for years and achieved great fame. It's achieved great fame, a game that'll never end. If you never played, you've never lived, my friend. It's called She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not.
Failing to get record company interest, Northcott didn't bat an eye and simply started his own record label, Syndrome Records, and released the single in 1965.
I made my first recordings. I sent them to RCA and Capitol Records Canada, and never heard back from them. So I said, okay, I'll start my own record company. That's how it happened.
Being on Let's Go resulted in Tom meeting and working with Susan Pesklevitz, who became Susan Jacks, and Howie Vickers. Although Susan and Howie would go on to bigger things with the Poppy Family and the Collectors, respectively, in 1966 the trio recorded a single together, calling themselves the Eternal Triangle.
I say love's day is still too far away. Look in your heart, you know it's true. It's true, I know it is, it's true.
It was in the Vancouver Playboys where he met Cat Hendrikse, who really impressed him.
Sure, he was the only drummer in Vancouver for a long time. I mean,
The drummer.
that really could lock on to the groove, and he was a really good. He managed the flow of our shows with the Playboys.
So it wasn't a stretch when Northcott was looking for his own band that he would get Cat Hendrikse on drums. Bassist Rick Enns rounded out the band, and they began gigging as the Tom Northcott Trio. They released a couple of singles in 1966, including the song Let Me Know.
If you want me, won't you let me know? If you don't, then won't you let me go? I can't go on this way, worried night and day. So if you want me, let me know. Oh, baby, please let me know.
Cat's tenure in the band was short, putting Tom on the hunt for a new drummer.
We had Cat, and then I think Cat got a better gig, basically. So I'd been in England, and I'd become friends with Eric Burton of the Animals. So we played the Cave with them, and he was such a friendly, great guy that I was kind of hooked up with them. And then I was in England, and I met their drummer for some reason, or I remembered the drummer. So then I'm back in Canada, and we need a drummer. And I say, well, there's this guy, from the Animals. I've never heard him. I've never, but he must be an okay drummer. So we had him out, and he was not a great drummer, which is why he was no longer with the Animals. Okay? So he was a really nice guy, but not a great drummer. And so I had also met, when our Playboys tour across Canada in Sudbury, I had met Chris Dixon, who was drumming in another band, and I thought he was not a bad drummer. So I found out where he was and hired him. He came out.
Oh,
And he was the guy that came to San Francisco with us.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah.
Jack Hirshhorn became his first manager of sorts in 1965 or 66. How did they meet?
I started Syndrome Records.
Oh, okay.
And I had recorded my first couple of records. And so I was recording something down at Robin Spurgeon's studio on Broadway. And Jack came in, and he was coming around scouting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He was scouting talent,
Right.
but he wasn't scouting them. Well, yeah, he was scouting talent for LA, which is interesting because he didn't deliver me to Warner Brothers, or he would have had me there because he was a go-getter and I was a I don't know kind of guy. So so that's how I met Jack, and I must say we had a lot of fun getting the new Syndrome records going and making the deals with Warner Brothers.
Around this time, Northcott went electric. Also, as there were no 12-string guitars around, he made his own.
Oh, I had converted it to a 12-string. I'd gone electric, so it was after the Cross Canada tour, and I went electric because I heard Dylan when he went electric. So I think that was my first electric guitar after.
In the meantime, the trio had opened for the Jefferson Airplane in Vancouver. What was that like?
Just loving them, and I remember them loving me and my group. And so every time they came to Canada, they asked for us as their backup band, their opener.
Right.
The Jefferson Airplane connection proved to be a valuable one, as the trio got opening gigs on their shows at various venues, even getting a gig at the Matrix in San Francisco.
It was a riot. I went and bought this '63 Chev station wagon for our Tom Northcott Trio, and I remember pulling up to the Inquisition, opening the door, and my window fell right through the bottom of the door onto the sidewalk. Because it was all rusted out. It was from Vancouver, sitting by the salt water. And
not the Inquisition, that was at the Matrix?
that was at the Matrix, at the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so, jack it back up in place and move it over a little bit. Don't wind it up anymore. Summer in California, okay.
In late 1966, Warner Brothers Records in LA were keen to sign Tom to a record deal.
Warner Brothers had been trying to get in touch with me for at least like a year and a half. And Tom Peacock at CFUN would get the request. They would call him from LA, and he would relay to me, they want you to call him. I said, great, I will. But I didn't. And then I make another record, they send it down. There was a guy, talent scout, I guess, sent the record, and they call him Tom Peacock again. He calls me again, and I say, great, thanks. And I don't call him. So I'm playing the Matrix, and then this guy, father of FM radio.
Is it Donahue? Is it Donahue?
Tom Donahue.
Yeah.
Very good. So he just comes in one night with plane ticket to LA and Burbank, actually, and $500, which was a lot of money back then, and said, please go to Warner Brothers. They'll meet you at the airplane, and they really want to talk to you. I said, okay, this is great.
Tom wasn't quite as keen to sign, and explains why.
So the question to me was, why did I not want to go? Why did I not call him? And I think that I suspected that there was something about the music industry that I wouldn't really like. And I was right. There's a lot to love about the music. And there's a lot to go about the business.
Lenny Waronker was an up-and-coming A&R man and staff producer at Warner's. By the time he got involved with Tom Northcott, he had already produced albums for the Beau Brummels and Harper's Bazaar. Northcott recorded a number of singles for Warner's over the next couple of years. In part 2 of my Tom Northcott interview, I'll take a look at the Warner Brothers singles and what made him decide to leave the music business. My thanks to Rob Frith from Neptune Records for asking the questions, to Ronnie May for the videography, and to Tom Northcott for sharing his great stories. I'm going to leave you with the first single Tom recorded for Warner's, Sunny Goodge Street, which I will talk about more in part 2. This has been Noise from the Cranium. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
On the Firefly platform on Sunny Good Street, violent hash smoker shook a chocolate machine involved in an eating scene. Smashing into neon lights in their stone nest, smearing their eyes on the crazy concourse, listening to sounds of Mingus